Hello, I'm Tony, and today we are taking a look at the Forest Quartet, a puzzle narrative game currently free from the Epic Games Store until the 28th of September 2023. Now normally in my reviews I'd make a fairly brief comment about the graphics and the sound before moving on to what I focus on, which is the gameplay. With this one, not so much, because the look, the music and the gameplay are kind of closely linked here, more so than in most games. Let me explain. The Forest Quartet is a puzzle game revolving around the loss of a singer-saxophonist from the titular The Forest Quartet, a kind of jazz band, and the grief that the rest of the band are suffering from. You play Nina, or rather the ghost or spirit of Nina, and your job is to help your old bandmates move past the mental health issues that are affecting them since you passed, and get them all back together to perform a concert. As Nina, you can sing to activate certain objects, and other objects that you can't sing at, you can pick up or activate them in a different way. And with these abilities, you solve puzzles that combat the manifestations of the issues your bandmates are having. These manifestations aren't subtle, so it's pretty clear what needs to be done on each of the levels that are available. There's really only 3 levels, but the last one's split into 2, so it kind of feels like 4.
In the city.
The puzzles themselves are very intertwined with the story. The story plays out through cutscenes and snippets of a recorded interview that gives you an insight into what the characters you're helping felt, who they are, and a bit of history of the band. The cutscenes and the audio clips trigger as you achieve milestones within each level, which made me feel a lot more involved within the story because my actions were having an instant effect on the narrative. Music plays a big part in the game, unsurprisingly since it is about a band, and it shows in the soundtrack and sound effects. The game sounds great. Nina's voice when she sings is really lovely, and the sound effects are very musical, which sounds weird, but they really are. Have a listen. The soundtrack switches between a nice jazz track to pretty haunting sound effects that reflect the theme of each level, as do the graphics. See? Like I said, it all kind of mixes together. The lighting effects on each level really help to build the atmosphere, and even on my low-end laptop still look otherworldly. Nina glows as you move her through the levels, and when you sing she gives off more motes of light, which I did actually use occasionally to find my way through the darker parts of levels. Now you may be wondering why I've not mentioned the gameplay yet, which is the puzzles. Because I'm always going on about the puzzles in this game being the main thing, right? Well, I'm not sure it is in this game. This is much more of a tribute to a real life bandmate being lost than it is a puzzle game. And it takes the form of a narrative about that grief. The puzzles feel like they're there just to get you more involved in the story. They're reasonably easy to work out, and the whole game only took me about an hour and a half to play. With both of these, that kind of makes me feel like the puzzles were only part of the overall game, and not the focus. The game's also very linear, with a few options to follow at any one point, normally just the one, leading to pretty straightforward solutions to puzzles, and never really had to spend too much time working through anything, which obviously is a problem in a puzzle game, and might be for some people in this, if that's your expectation. The puzzles are typically just find an object and put it in the right place and sing it. There's a couple that are a little bit more interesting, but in such a short game it really isn't that much. If you go into this thinking of it as a very interactive novel, not a puzzle game as such, I think you'll probably have a better chance at enjoying this. It's too short, and the puzzles are too easy to treat it as anything else really. That being said, I enjoyed it. It's a touching tribute to a lost friend and a pretty engaging story that the puzzles do help immerse you a little bit more into it. For those looking for a story with puzzle elements, I recommend to grab this while it's free. If you want a challenging puzzle game, this isn't it. You'll have to look elsewhere. Okay, that's all from me today. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.